Welcome back to another episode of Chopping It Up. I'm your host, Ryan, and here with me today I have Jeremiah Burke. How's it going, buddy?
Pretty good. How are you guys? Or how you doing tonight?
Oh, another day, another dollar. The
Yeah.
day not worked is it's a good day.
Today
I
was
guess
supposed to be a day off, but
today for you?
yeah, I don't work Fridays except for today.
Except for today. The day we decided to do a podcast. You know what's
Yeah.
funny about that is the day I decided Burke's gonna be the next one, what happened?
Won the damn race.
He goes out there and wins. Listen, I'm not making any bold predictions, but I think I think I need to change my name to a rabbit foot, because I'm a lucky guy.
Maybe, and I think you need to have me on like every week.
Every week, so you can win all of them. Was that your first win with Chop Shop?
That was my first truck win with Chop Shop.
First truck win with Chop Shop.
Yeah.
What was your first win with Chop Shop?
I won Daytona in the Cup Series last season.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And you won in Vegas, so
yeah.
I think it's safe to say that you're a hell of a plate racer, right?
I try. I just try not to crash, and if I'm there at the end, let's go for it.
Well, and I do want to recap that. I thought about pulling up the video and just going over it, but I was like, yeah, I ain't gonna do that. But John, in those last 3 laps, was on your rear the entire time.
Oh yeah.
What is going through your head during that time? I mean, because I talked to John about his first win, and I'm assuming if there's a gap in between wins, it probably comes back to, it kind of feels like your first time, especially with a group of hyenas like we have. What was going through your head that entire last restart? Because you knew he was coming, right?
That restart was, it was probably one of the most nerve-wracking ones I've had because if you remember a few laps before it when Biggert and the 54 got together, I got into that. So I thought I had front end damage. So I'm thinking this thing's not going to go. John's definitely going to go. And he's going to push me. And if this thing doesn't go, he's going to push me around. And so I held it wide open and I held it on the white line. And he's going to have to either go through me or around me on the outside.
Right. Well, and it's hard to pass on the outside until it gets going.
Yeah.
So, were you shaking at all or anything like that?
I always, my blood pressure gets up there a little bit. I get the heart pounding, get the sweat going on the steering wheel.
And who would have thought in their right mind, especially coming into sim racing, that it can mess with you so much emotionally and physically?
Oh yeah, and it's I don't know what it is, but I grew up racing dirt bikes, right? So I'm not not a stranger to competition or anything like that. But there's something about when you're doing it in like your bedroom on the computer or whatnot, the energy level inside your body, anxiety is through the roof compared to really racing. I feel like maybe.
Yeah. Well, I know. Once I get up in like the top 10, top 5 or so, my heart starts picking up a little bit, because it's like, okay, you have a shot. It might not be a great shot, but you're up there and you got a shot. And that's typically when I screw everything up.
Well, yeah, and so that's one thing. It's kind of hard to balance because you get anxious and all that, but that's when you start making mistakes. So I will personally, especially with the camera on, you'll see me. If I get excited, I start taking really deep breaths. Like I have to force myself to breathe, and I will just start taking these giant breaths and try to calm down and get my foot to stop shaking. If I can get my foot to stop shaking, we're okay.
And that's, during John's podcast, we were talking about when he said he had to take his foot off the clutch because he's just sitting there, like a Roger Rabbit type of thing or something. Yeah. That's awesome. And congratulations on the truck win. I don't know where you're sitting at in points, but I'm assuming that probably helped a little bit, right?
I'm 8th in points right now, which is good. I've had a little rough start to the season. I think I've crashed out of all the races except Daytona, and I didn't run so hot at Mosport. So we're now just starting this momentum, get it going the right way, and
Where are
make
you
the
racing
playoffs.
out of?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix, Arizona. You
Yeah.
and Stryker both in Arizona.
Yeah.
What do
So
you do?
that's
What do you do for
oh,
a living?
I'm a diesel mechanic. I work for Cummins.
Oh, no
I'm a
kidding.
mobile diesel mechanic. I work at a ready mix plant. I'm there full time with them
Dude, you know where they need diesel mechanics?
everywhere.
Up in the Klondike when they're
Yeah.
panning for gold, dude. Those cats make
Right.
some bank, son.
Yeah, but it's cold up there.
That's why you're in Arizona, right?
It's like 70 degrees right now.
Oh, dude.
Got the fan blowing on me.
Yeah, it's 73 down here in Florida. So,
Okay.
Listen, man, I totally get where you're coming from. I'm from the Midwest originally, and listen. Anybody from the Midwest, y'all can keep that shit.
Yeah.
Keep it to yourselves. Arizona and Florida, we want no part in that stuff at all.
I got people in Discord posting up there negative 12-degree temperatures, and I'm like, that you chose to live there. Just you idiot. I don't want any part of that. I don't even want to see it on my computer screen.
Well, you know, Hammond's up in Ohio, so he's just getting the brute force of all of it too. So I just like to sit back and poke fun at him.
Yeah.
Do you plan on racing every series this season?
I don't know what my plan is. I keep saying I'm going to retire from the Cup Series because I don't like those cars, but I keep racing it. So I'll probably be there. I'm going to run the super late models. So yeah, I'll probably run a lot of them.
What's your game plan going into each season this year?
Well, I mean, so I made the Championship 4 in the Gen 4. I made the Championship 4 in Cup. I want to win a championship.
Do you know, this is a good question that I don't ask a lot of people, honestly. What do you think has been like the form of success for you to make it to at least have a shot at it? Like, what do you think? I mean, because obviously, no disrespect, don't take this the wrong way. You're not out here winning every race, right?
No.
I mean, and you're consistent for the most part. I mean, is that the only thing? I mean, like, how do you just keep yourself in that mode of being able to make the Final Four?
I just gotta stay calm because you'll notice I'll get into some practice sessions and I will be dead last on the speed charts, just completely dead last. No speed, no single lap speed, but I work very hard on being smooth, and I just put the race together, and through attrition and tire wear and all that, if I can I can run 5th to 10th, I feel, any day. If I can eke a little bit extra, get some strategy, get some extra track position, I can run up front. But my goal is just finish 5th to 10th every week. And then as the playoffs start ramping up, then, try to find a little bit more speed, try to go out and practice and follow Nate around the track a little bit.
Who do you, I'm trying to word this right here. What do you think when you're around, the drivers? Like, I mean, does your mindset change when you're around, like me or Alex Thompson or Church, guys that we don't have the best grip on our car, like mentality wise. It's not a question if we can drive or we can't. It's just we just don't have the seat time that you guys do. Does your mindset change at all when you're back there, rubbing fenders with us, or is it different than when you're racing with Hammond and Nate and Stryker?
So I've always got it in the back of my mind, and like I will try to give a little extra room. You won't see me move like I know that 4 wide move that John really didn't like on Tuesday that I made, and when I got under Alex and all that. If I'm at the back of the pack, I am not going to make that move at all. But if I'm going for a win and I've got room, I'll do stuff like that. So, and it doesn't really matter who it is. It's just more of okay, it does matter who it is sometimes because there's people like I know me and Caffrey are going to net code every time. So I try to give him a lot more because my connection's not all that great. He's in Australia. So we'll hit each other with 5 feet between. So as I start racing with these people, I know who I can get really close with, who I can't. And I'll give some people more room than others. Mostly, it just depends on if it's worth the risk at that moment to make a move, or if I just need to ride in the back, because I'm just going to ride in the back until things get spread out.
Well, and some of it, I don't think you'd argue with me, is a respect between each other. Have you noticed, because obviously you've been doing this longer than I have. Have you noticed, like even if maybe you are faster than the guy in front of you or next to you, you still have that respect because he wouldn't run you like that either. I mean, is that something that you're constantly processing? When you're moving up through the field.
Yeah, and it's something that's been I've been working on because I joined up in this league at the end of 22. So and then I ran like really sporadically throughout last year until kind of the second season last year. And it's taken me quite a while to kind of figure out who everybody is, and I think that's why I'm kind of struggling in the trucks right now, because I only know a core handful of people that race all the series, and we've got 30-40 guys on track every week who I don't know 85% of. So trying to learn that. I feel like when I'm with the guys I race 3 times a week, we have that respect. We'll let each other go, give each other room, race each other hard when we have to. And it works out real well. It's a learning curve with when you're a bunch of people racing, or when you're racing a bunch of people you aren't used to racing, and you just it takes time to learn that.
So I won't put you on the spot here, all right? Okay. What's going through your head when you and I are racing side by side? Because I know for a fact you're better than I am, no question about it. But I have the talent to get up there with you, and I have the talent to run the same speed you are. I just can't hold it together for 100 laps, right? So
when you're up there with me, I'm like, just please don't lose it in front of me. Just get it together. I know you can go fast. It's just sometimes you step over that line a bit, and
absolutely.
You'll go take off through the infield. I'm like, oh, bye, Ryan. See,
I do that shit a lot too.
I remember Darlington. You flew past me at Darlington, and then a couple of laps later, I see that car sideways, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be big.
That was a rough race, man. I need to. It's hard. Let's just use the truck series as an example versus the Gen 4 series that we just got done with, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many more people in the truck series, like you were saying, that you haven't ran with. And I think I'm getting to the point now in my career even that if I'm going to get lapped, depending on the situation, obviously, if it's a track championship and, like you, Day, who else was, Biggert and Stryker were all racing, I wasn't going to race any of you guys. If you were coming up on me, you were going around me, I would put it wherever you wanted me. No big deal. But I've gotten to the point to where now, if I'm going to get lapped, I'm going to run my line. I'm not giving it to you, even for Nate. And Nate's my boy. I love Nate. He's taught me a lot. He's helped me a ton. And he's bad fast. But, that's where I'm starting to go. With that being said, when you're in that position to where let's say you took tires and I didn't or whatever, and I'm a lap down and you're obviously in the back, or you got an EOL, whatever it is, if you're coming through the pack and there's cars a lap down, I mean, do you drive more aggressively? Like, I got to get around these guys. There's a reason they're a lap down, or is it just one of those things you're just still biding your time and keeping, the end game result the same, worrying about your tires, your fuel, the strategy, whatever?
Yeah, so that's completely dependent on, how late it is in the race, what my chance of doing something with the top guys is when I get past the lap cars, or am I going to get in a wreck with the lap cars trying to aggressively get past them? I will, if I can clear everybody easily, I will go around. I will make an aggressive move and get around. But I've also sit and I'll wait till they kind of get their lucky dog thing figured out, and then I can pick them off because I've got fresher tires. I'm faster. I'm not damaged. If I'm doing something like that, I'll just kind of see how they're racing, especially see how they start racing for that lucky dog, see how the restart goes and all that. And I will bow out of that, because if it looks like they're going to cause a caution, I'm going to get past them on the next restart anyway and start in front of them. So it's just totally dependent on how many cars are left in the race. Like in the truck series, I will be as patient, cool as a cucumber, just ride back there, because there are way too many cars to try to pass in a hurry. You're going to get in an accident.
Is that something that you still have to kind of push yourself mentality wise or mentally wise when it comes to like, hey, I need to slow down, I need to let this guy do his thing even though you're going faster? Is that something you have to keep telling yourself all the time, or is that just something you've got enough seat time in, it's just kind of second nature? You're like, hey man, this guy's struggling, we're coming up on the stage, I'm going to back out and take it easy?
Yeah, so again, that just it is something that comes with time, because what I've learned, like I've got, I think, 900 and some official races under my belt, plus all of these league races, right? So I've raced a ton. I have found so many ways to crash that it's just like eventually it starts to it does start to just kind of become second nature, the way you're feeling. If you feel bad about something, it's usually for a reason. But there are times when I'm like, no, you need to stop and just quit battling. Like I almost, I don't know if you saw at the race where me and Sam were getting into it a little bit, and he went under the yellow or under the white line, and I decided I wasn't going to let him back up. And coming back to it, I'm like, oh, that was kind of dumb. But at the same time, I kind of got lost in the moment. I felt wronged by him before, so I didn't want to give him any room. I wasn't going to wreck him, but I didn't want to give him any room. And and it still happens. Like you'll get in that mindset and like, oh shoot, I got away with something there. Maybe I shouldn't do that again. Then you see me kind of drop back later on in the race, gather my thoughts, and then go back up again.
And I mean, I could contest, because I have been around you a lot racing, and I think there's a mutual respect there, and I think I don't think it starts out as respect. It's more of a trust thing, at first, and then it's like obviously, when I'm racing you, like, I may spin out in front of you. Obviously, it's not on purpose, but like even when I am running good, and even if I tap you in the rear end, it's not tapping you to mess you up. It's tapping you to help you move forward so I can move forward, and I think more drivers need to be aware of, you can make some good friends on the track by being patient. But even I, to this day, which is why I asked you that question, is I struggle with backing off when I need to back off, because my goal is like, get away from this guy. I don't want him in front of me just in case he does wreck, because I'll get ran through the back like my cousin did, 2 nights ago. But I didn't know if, if it becomes second nature or not. It's like, you don't even think about it. You just slow down. You let everybody do their thing, and then you kind of take them out on the back end. Or if it's just like you have to constantly remind yourself, because that's the stage I'm at.
Yeah, it will. I mean, it will get easier as you get a lot more seat time. It'll become more of an instinct. But there, like I said, there are still times where you gotta, hey, dummy, let's not do this. He's just say you see somebody driving erratic and you want to get around them to get away from them, even though you're way faster. Well, they're being erratic. It's probably not a good idea to try to pass them.
Right.
And yeah, it might. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't win a lot of races, probably because I am more cautious than not most of the time. But I finish races and I finish them good. So it'll get me into a position at the end. I feel like that's kind of where it hurts me down at the end. Like when we ran the championship race in the Cup Series, and I wasn't there. I was on the wrong strategy. I didn't know. I wasn't used to racing heads up right at the front, and that's what I needed to do that day, and it didn't work out for me.
Yeah. Hey, hold on. I gotta stop this. All right, so out of a weird turn of events, my kid went to the ER in the middle of our podcast. I do apologize. I had to go. And then to make it even weirder, you had to go get your wisdom teeth pulled just the other day. So we had to postpone it again. So listen, everybody, we've been trying to get this episode done and going. We were 22 minutes in, so that's why we're in different clothes. We don't look the same. Completely different video, completely different day. I got my Chop Shop Racing flag. Got the new Chopping It Up hoodie. Chop Shop Racing. Old Burke over here got his flag put up. Looks good. Hey, I will tell you, because I was talking to Striker and John, they're wanting everybody to get flags, take a nice little picture of it, and upload it into general chat. So we left off with talking about our nerves in the middle of the race and the discipline that it takes to be like, hey, stupid, don't push your truck or car or whatever we're racing at the time as fast as you possibly can in the first 3 laps, and burn your stuff up. Which I think we did get that out of the way. But now, since it's a new day, stuff's hit the fan, I kind of want to reflect on that a little bit. Let's start here. Our last race we had was Tuesday night in the trucks. Where were we again?
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire, that's right. We were in New Hampshire. And almost, which was a very unlike us to have that many cautions.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a caution fest.
But hey, I felt like we did pretty good talking about that, keeping calm and making our way to the front slowly but surely. And I mean,
hey man, I think I got a 7th place finish, so I wasn't mad, man. It worked. I only had 4X the whole night.
Hey, I'm not gonna. I got up there pretty good. I mean, I'm not gonna name Jerry's name or anything, but no, it's all good. Just a little mistake, got in the wall, and then of course, when you're back there at the end of the race, anything can happen. All of a sudden, there's a truck parked right in front of me.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. The reason I brought any of that up is because it's the weirdest conversation I think I'm ever going to have. But you took the pits, decided to run to the bathroom, come back, blow your knee out, and you're like, oh, hey, guys, I just blew my knee out. Give me a second. It's like, what? Like, you blew this. Listen, guys, this guy blew his knee out, kicked it back in, and went back racing. What freak of nature does that?
First of all, I keep a leave on the rig, so we're good there. And so I have a bad knee; it pops out all the time anyway. But I hit it right on the corner of my bed as I was coming back to the rig, so I didn't realize it was out. I drag in and I go to leave the pits, and I couldn't move my knee, and I'm like, oh, it's locked up. So I got out of the pits with my left foot driving, and was able to hook my leg up into the rig and pop the knee back in. And I don't know if that helped me with the throttle control or whatnot, because I drove it up to the front after that. But yeah.
I just want that ain't a normal thing, dude. Like, just like, oh, my knee out all the time. It's not a thing. I got some elite. What? That is awesome.
It happened. That's the first time it's happened racing, so that was a new experience.
So, question: is it your throttle foot or your brake foot, or do you just use the same foot either?
It's my throttle foot.
That's a weird thing too. I talk to a lot of guys, and they don't understand the double footing thing. And that's how I grew up driving. Like, I always brake with my left foot, always. Even in automatic vehicles, I'm so used to it. I think my reaction's better, and I
Yeah.
think don't get me wrong, at first, like I was braking way hard. It takes a little bit to get your left foot, because I'm right hand dominant, to get your left
Yeah.
foot used to kind of doing it. But after you do it for so long, you don't even realize you're doing it. But I don't know how those guys race with their
Well,
throttle and their brake with their right leg. I don't
no,
get that.
because I got to manipulate it to get the weight right when you're going through
Right,
the corner, and a lot of times that involves being on the throttle and the brake at the same time.
right, and you gotta drag them.
Yeah.
Now let's fast forward a little bit here to you blew your knee out in the race. We didn't finish our podcast to now. The wisdom teeth. Was that just out of the blue? Did you knew that was coming? Like,
No,
what's the deal there?
So they've been hurting really bad for months, and I, of course, went to the dentist, went through all this cleaning, all that. They determined, hey, you need to go get this, and the surgeon was completely booked up. So I had an appointment, and they opened up on Saturdays to do these consultations. I missed that consultation. So then they redid it a couple months out, and then the appointment for the actual removal was a couple months out from that. So it's just been this ongoing thing for probably the last 6 months. And it needed to happen. Like, I even took off work Tuesday because it hurt so bad that I had a migraine. I was throwing up, and that was with the teeth still in there.
How old are you?
31.
God, man, and you left them in until you were 31. That's a long time, because I think technically, I'm not a dentist, so don't put it past me, but I think the reason 9 times out of 10, or the 2 reasons 9 times out of 10 people get their wisdom teeth pulled or they're told to, is A, they hit the other teeth, obviously, so they come in crooked and whatever. And B, like with mine, it acted like when they first came in, they didn't have any enamel or any like protective layers. So they the second I ate candy and sugar got on there, they just started rotting away.
Yeah.
And I say that as I put a dip in, but I mean, listen, I put in like $16,000 worth of teeth work, and they still look like shit. So I'm not a judge regardless, but I don't have any cavities. So that's rough, man. I had to have a chisel and a hammer, and they'd crack it in half. It wasn't fun.
Oh no, they got this side over here. My daughter asked me why I had paper towels in my mouth. I don't have paper towels in my mouth. She's swollen up. Yeah. So.
Well, and I guess you can just like stick your head in some ice or something, and
they give me some ice packs, and we'll be fine.
You'll be good by the weekend. It'll be gone.
I got today off. I got all weekend off. We'll see how I feel on Monday. I might take that off too.
I need to start looking for a new job myself. I'm just the 9 to 5 grind, man. You know what would be cool if I could do this full time.
Oh yeah,
like those guys doing those podcasts. That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, so I got my job's pretty cool. I go to work at 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes, but I get out by 2. So.
What do you do again?
I'm a diesel mechanic, diesel mechanic.
Diesel mechanic. Yeah. That's right. Well, I owned a trucking company, so I fully respect you guys.
Yeah.
Within reason. I think you know why, because there's a few bad eggs.
Oh,
they'll come. If you need an emergency, those guys are like, I'm coming after to help you, bud. And then you get that bill and you're like, thanks for helping me. Like,
yeah.
$8,000.
Oh, yeah. Well,
that's, brother. What do you work for a dealership or just a mom and pop work on every time?
I work for Cummins, at the manufacturer. Exactly. So, yeah, I'm contract. So Cummins has a distributor side where we do parts and service for customer support. So we support dealers, we support customers. Like, I'm actually at a customer site full time. They pay me full time to be there.
Nice.
So, yeah. So.
Well, and I know. I wonder if that's starting to become a thing, because I know, like with Mercedes engines, pretty much everybody but Detroit, and you know why I'm saying that is when they're wanting to program anything, even, Cat, Cummins, or where they have to get a password to even get into the system from the Cummins manufacturer. And I'm assuming they do that for warranty purposes?
Well, so actually it's a lot of like the big fleets especially. It's for emissions, it's for fuel mileage. So you'll notice a lot of the super fleets, Swift, CR England, all that, those trucks are going slow, 63 miles an hour. Well, we got to have those passwords in there so that they don't take it to, Jim Bob down the road and have him change the speed, because it's just easy as typing in what you want the top speed of the truck to be and program it in. Anybody can do it. But if it's password protected, then you can't get in there, can't do it. So that's a lot of what passwords are for.
I want to show you something. You'll get a kick out of this. This happened actually in between our videos. I was at a customer's house. I gotta find this damn picture. Oh, right here. Okay. Tell me if you can see this. See the guy in the red?
Uh-huh.
Do you know who that is?
No.
Here, I'll show you. You'll get a kick out of this. So I was quoting some Lanai screens for him.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this is his fifth house. This is. Come on, load up, bastard. Hold on here. It's gonna be a boring podcast if I can't get this stupid picture to pull up. I want you to look down below.
Oh yeah.
So his name is Greg Swift. He's the owner of Swift, which I was like in awe because I was in the industry and he's not used to that. No one knows who he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh my goodness, man. You own Swift? And he's like, yeah. So my first initial thought is like, do I crack a joke? Should I crack a joke? Like, he's had to hear them all, right? And I'm like, dude, you're like you got to be close to being a billionaire by now. You know what I mean? He told me they have a depot every 500 in a 500-mile radius of each one of each other across the entire United States.
Yep.
Is that not wild?
There's one right down the street from where I was working when I first came to Arizona. So I actually worked for an ex-CEO of Swift, Bob Cunningham. Worked for him for about 10 months when I first came over here. Yeah, he owns the international dealers out here in Arizona.
That's crazy.
So,
and that's right, you are in Arizona. Who is it? It's Day up in Canada, right?
Yeah. Roberge is up in Canada.
I know Roberge is in Canada. It's weird, and I don't want you taking this the wrong way, but I get you and Day mixed up a lot, and I think the reason for that is because you two are always in the goddamn playoffs together. It's like it never ends. It's like where Burke is, Day is, or where Day is, Burke is. And it's like you two are like magnets for one. Like, if I didn't know better, you guys are conspiring to like overthrow the whole league. That's what I'm coming to.
Hey, we get along with each other. We race good together.
Day's a good dude. I took him out in the Canadian Tire race. I felt horrible for it because John did first and then I did. But I haven't taken you out yet. I don't think so. I'm gonna have to work on that. I got to pick up my wrecking talent a little bit there.
Speaking of taking people out, like we handed that race back to Nate on Tuesday. He was 100%. Out. He was out for the count, and everybody wanted to wreck, get him back on the lead lap, get him back to the lead, and let him win the race.
Well, but here's the problem with all that. It is his home track. Even with a beat up car, it's just like Church at Knoxville. Granted, Church didn't win at Knoxville, but if he had a beat up sprint car or late model car, he would still be able to advance farther than, the average person.
I still want to know what it is about, home tracks. Like I run really well at Phoenix, always has. It's not like I run it any more than I run any other track, but I do run good at Phoenix.
You know what I think it comes down to, there's an expectation going into it, and you particularly know that, because like we're doing this podcast now. Not only did I already know you're from Arizona or Striker, but now everybody's going to know that you're from Arizona. So now the added pressure of you and Striker both, it's like, well, You guys better be in the top 3 because there's no explanation to why.
We better be. I'll go take his power. I'll go take his power out, so I don't have to.
Do you know where he lives?
Yeah. So actually, okay, funny story. I guess a lot of people don't know how me and Stryker met. Was his daughter, my daughter, went to school together, and him and his wife wanted to take the kids out trick or treating on Halloween. So I'm like, sure. So they take my kids, and I couldn't find the other candy bag for my youngest daughter anywhere. I'm like, well, what the hell? So I had a Fanatec bag that my pedals came in, and so I gave it to her, and she goes out trick or treating, and he comes back, and he's like, "Hey, you race? I saw the Fanatec bag and all that." And
I bet his eyes lit up, didn't they?
Yeah. So that's how we met, became friends, and now how I found the league and all that.
What a small world that would happen in, especially because I would like to think because I'm in Florida and obviously there's a ton of sim racers down here.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, hell, Cam's only an hour and a half from me, and I haven't met him yet, but I'm sure me and him will run into each other.
Yeah.
But what are you would think, especially, I don't know, anywhere around the world, like you would meet somebody from iRacing and the odds of them being like, yeah, I'm an oval driver versus a road course driver is far and in between because iRacing was originally built for road racing. That was the whole point of it when it first started. Then it just kind of morphed into this whole deal. So the fact that you and Stryker ran into each other, both very, very consistent and advocates of oval racing, to kind of mesh like that is actually really cool.
Oh yeah, it was good, and it's turned into a whole good thing. I like everybody in here, and we have a blast.
Guys should be BFFs. There's something wrong if you're not.
We see each other at cheer all the time. So
at cheer.
Cheerleading. Both our kids are in cheerleading.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure Stryker takes part in it too. You listen, tell everybody. Stryker puts a tutu on or something, and he goes out there and helps.
That's me. I got the shirts and everything.
Somebody has to jump.
So I'm actually, my youngest daughter wants me to be one of the. They have parent spotters just to make sure if the kid falls off the top, they don't hit the ground. And my youngest one's asking me. She wants me to do it. I'm like, I'll do it. I'll put that cheer dad shirt on and I'll go do it. My oldest one absolutely wants nothing to do with me being out there.
You know what though, man? That's a good sign that you're doing it right. You know what I mean? If you're here, the funny thing about parenting that I don't think a lot of new parents get, and obviously Odell's one of the guys figuring it out, because he got a new one, is you get first off, what I tell new parents is imagine before you're a parent, imagine the thing you love the absolute most, and then times that by like 1 billion, and that's the feeling you're going to have toward your own children, and not even know a love like that existed.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I would say is don't over worry, because children are tough, man. They really are. Like, they're made out of cartilage. A good example is my kid. I had to take him in for a CT scan when we were doing, our thing. He rode in an ambulance and it scared the hell out of me. And I have 5 kids. I'm used to this stuff, and it still scares me to this day. So, best advice, people, if you're a new parent or even an existing parent, don't sweat the little things. Give those kids a little breathing room. Let them eat dirt. It's going to build their immune system up. Don't believe in all this social media crap that's going on right now, because I rode in the back of a truck many, many, many times growing up, and all that fun jazz.
No, I got my kid, my oldest one's covered from head to toe in bruises right now, and she's got this big, it looks nasty on her arm, right? I'm like, what happened? Oh, I fell down the stairs. And I'm like, oh, great. So that's going to be the story.
So, is that your young one or older one?
No, that's my older one. So I'm expecting a phone call because she looks like she got beat. And I'm like,
do you have 2 girls?
I got 2 girls, yeah.
Oh, buddy. I feel for you.
10-year-old and a 7-year-old.
I have 4 boys and 1 girl. And my one daughter is probably the meanest out of the bunch. But she's a snake about it, and she's good. Like, she's like, she'll get me wrapped around her finger, and I'll be like busting my oldest in the mouth, I don't hit my kid in the mouth, but I'll be beating the hell out of him,
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you thinking? And he's like, I didn't do anything. I'm like, whatever. And then it turns out he didn't do anything, and I'm like, damn. Well, you probably deserved it for something else I don't know about. My kids are awesome. I wouldn't trade them for anything except for a large bucket of money or something. Maybe I might sell a couple.
Yeah, my oldest one the other day, we were driving down the road. She goes, "Dad, I just love you so much. You're like the best dad ever. You're so nice. You're sweet to me. You're so sweet to my sister." And I'm looking at her. I'm like, "Thank you. That really means a lot." She goes, "Does that mean you'll take me for McFlurry now?"
Oh, phenomenal. Yeah, I'm shocked you didn't say, "What do you want?" 'Cause I don't know about you, but when my wife starts pulling that crap, what do you want to buy? She says, "Oh, this Louis Vuitton purse or whatever," and I'm like, "We're not made of money. I give Chop Shop everything."
Yeah, but I knew she wanted something, but I thought there might be a chance she was being genuine.
Yeah,
I was wrong, but she.
I mean, I'm sure she still feels that way about it.
She has learned from her mother.
You know what? I think young women are born and they know exactly what that piece of plastic does. Like, man, if I just money. Listen, guys, we're not sexist. We're just messing around. It's all fun and games. If Burke's old lady's watching, I didn't script this or tell him to say anything. I'm sorry.
We're divorced. She can't get mad at me anymore.
Oh, hey, I've been through that too, and those are pricey. All right, let's get back on the subject of little racing. There we go. I did want to touch base with you last time because you had a Hendrick Motorsports car hat on.
Yeah.
Last time we were talking.
Kyle Larson.
So, it is a Larson hat? Yeah. I see your Cummins. Are you a Larson fan?
Yeah, I've been a Larson fan since 2012 or whatever when he came in.
My man, virtual fist bump. Give me some. Find your camera. No, man, I love Larson. I'm from Knoxville, Iowa, so I've always been into dirt. And when his stuff went down, I thought I hated to see it, but I loved to see it because he was racing so much dirt then.
Man, that might have been the best year of his career too.
Absolutely, 100%, 100%.
He won so many races.
It's funny too because they even say bad publicity is good publicity, right? So I kind of like to use that in his situation. Not that it was publicity and it was good, but it turned like something bad turned into something good, and he's a better person for it. I truly believe that. And the dirt community never turned their back on him. That's the part that I love the most because dirt communities are so tight knit that I've watched drivers at the Knoxville Nationals pull their engines out and give them to a competitor that made it to the show versus them.
Yeah.
You can't get that anywhere. If it was allowed in NASCAR, it wouldn't happen. Just for the simple fact that they're also racing for money, but for some reason it's more prestigious for them not to share with each other versus like the dirt community. I've never understood that aspect. And maybe back in the day it was like that. I don't know, but that's awesome that you're a Larson fan. How long have you been a Larson fan ever since he was in the 42?
I've been a Larson fan since the first time he showed up at Homestead in that Turner Motorsports truck. And I thought he was going to win the race his first try.
All right, so I'm going to ask you a really difficult and controversial question now. Because I need people on my side. Does Kyle Larson have a shot to win the race at the Indy 500?
He for sure does. 100%.
My man. Thank you. Everybody, Stryker, Nathan, John, they're all like, he ain't going to win. I'm like, he can win it. And they're like, no, it's too difficult. And the reason I'm always an advocate for it is because like there's so many NASCAR drivers says he is the greatest race car driver they had ever seen. Still to this day. And it's not just on pavement, it's in anything he touches. So give me your thoughts on what do you think Larson can do to get that Indy 500?
So look at Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch ran and did it with less testing than Larson's going to have. In a good car, but he's past his prime when he did it. Kyle Larson is in his prime, and he's got a car funded by McLaren and Hendrick Motorsports. That car is going to have all the best pieces on it, all the best people working on it. And Kyle Larson can get in anything and drive it fast. Now, the only thing that's going to keep him from winning it is Kyle Larson driving it fast. Because he could very well fuck it all up, too.
Right. Well, you're all right. We'll just make sure it's upload for adults. And another thing I wanted to touch base on, I know when he was doing his qualifier that they were actually telling him in the car over the radio to slow down and not to push the car already. This kid just jumps into, like, could you imagine him jumping on a lawnmower at home? Like, he's just like, peg it. he can never drive a zero turn before and probably be the best zero turn driver on the planet,
That guy just races. I mean, look, he gets in a late model and it's something completely different than he's ever driven, right? And he goes out and starts winning immediately.
Right.
Like
right out of the gate.
Against the best of the best. It's not like he's showing up to, a crate late model show down here at Central Arizona Speedway. No, he's going up against the best of the best.
Are you a fan of dirt racing?
I am. I've been involved in dirt racing for many years.
All right, so not to cut you off, I'm sorry. Yeah. But back in the day they used to do like a King of the Hill race. 2 cars go out, they do 1 lap, and then they race for 2-3 laps or even 1, and they just run through the whole field like that, and whoever wins. What do you think Kyle Larson could do against Bloomquist? Like, if they were to do that, because I mean, if anybody in a late model is anybody, it's Bloomquist, because that dude, I've watched him race with the left front down. Yeah. Like, that's crazy.
No, not down. I think it was missing.
Oh, was it? Okay, the tire was gone.
I think it was gone.
And he's just like, I'm not going to set the front back down.
Yeah.
Like, who does that?
Yeah. I don't know. I think Bloomquist and Larson racing together would be a show.
Absolutely.
I couldn't handicap that one. They're both fast. Bloomquist is a little more crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't agree with that. Just, they're both nuts.
Yeah,
I mean, they're both freaks.
I think, today Larson has the advantage, but I think if you put them both together in their prime, it would have been entertaining.
Well, you definitely know the sides of those cars are going to be beat to hell, because they're going to be leaning on each other as hard as they can. 100%.
Oh, yeah. It'd be well worth the money to watch it.
Yeah, 100%. So Larson got McLaren behind him. He has Hendrick Motorsports behind him. Hendrick is obviously a powerhouse regardless. McLaren, that's a no-brainer. And if I remember reading my articles right, this is the first Indy that Hendrick's actually going to be physically at to watch the race.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't do that he hasn't shown up for anybody. I know Tony Stewart tried it, Kurt Busch tried it. Jimmy Johnson, didn't he try it?
No.
Jimmy
Johnson did try it. Yeah, he raced Indy for a few years.
Yeah, I think he hit the wall a few times or whatnot. Yeah. Jimmy, I think, probably had the best run out of everybody that's done it. And I don't think Hendrick showed up for him even for that. So
no, and I mean, it tells you, because Hendrick bought into that McLaren team to get this going. So he's part owner of that car. So he's involved, and I think that says a lot about Hendrick. It says a lot about Larson.
Do you think if Larson were to place, let's be conservative here. Let's say Larson places top 15, top 20. I don't know how many cars are in the Indy 500. I don't traditionally watch it myself. 33 cars. Okay, so let's just say he gets a top 20. Does Hendrick let him do it again the following year? Because if Larson doesn't get up there and place good.
Oh, I got somebody at my door.
You're all right.
All right, I'm back.
We'll just cut that part out too.
Sounds good.
All right, what was I saying? Oh, there's a little pup.
Yeah.
A little wiener dog, huh?
Uh-huh. She's like a wiener dog beagle mix. Bailey, come here. Come on. Hi, Bailey.
Chill. Just chill.
Yeah.
All right. So back to Larson on his first year, because obviously, if he doesn't place well like he thinks he should, he's going to want to do it again. He's going to want to run it back. What place do you think that needs to be for Hendrick to be like, yeah, let's do it again next year?
Honestly, I think as long as he doesn't bring the car back in a fireball, he'll be allowed. If he has some spectacular wreck, I think that'll be the end of it.
Well, and obviously it depends on where that spectacular wreck is. If there's 5 to go and he's leading the race and it happens, they're going to let him run it back, obviously.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think he's going to finish top 20, top 15, he'll be top 10 if he makes it to the end, and if not, he'll be in the top 5 because that car's going to be fast. He's going to be fast.
He's not scared.
No, not.
He's not
1 ounce.
Not even the littlest. Yeah, all he has to do is figure out the dimensions of that car and where it's going to slip out his throttle points. But like you said, he's going to have more practice than Kurt did, and he's itching and fuming over it already. He just wants to practice. Yeah. Kyle Larson doesn't come into a race not for the most part mentally prepared, and if he's been in the car 1,000 times, then he'll just show up and he'll get in it and he'll figure it out as he goes. He's good at analyzing the track. For dirt, this is a different critter altogether. And what surprised me? The Roval that he won. I didn't see that coming. And his road course abilities are growing dramatically.
Oh yeah.
But when he took out his old ride, where were they at? Were it Sonoma or Watkins Glen?
Oh, shoot.
Remember, because they were coming in that sharp right, and he hit that dude full speed.
That was Indy road course.
Oh, was it Indy road course? Oh, my God. I wish. It almost seems like Hendrick covered up that the brakes were glazed or there was something funky about the brakes. Not to say that Kyle Larson didn't screw up, because we've all seen him mess up. He pushes to that limit all the time. But that was so uncharacteristic of anybody.
Yeah.
And he said before, like, oh, my brakes. And then afterwards, he's like, no, my brakes were fine. Like, he was taking the blame for it. So there's something fishy going on there, man.
The way I see it, either A, he overheated the brakes and they just didn't work going in that corner, or the other thing, because I don't know how much experience you've been on that track. When you come out onto that corner, it's kind of the same as coming out on the front straightaway. I almost wonder if he forgot that he was going into that corner and not on the front straightaway, and forgot to hit the brakes.
Do you think if there was an actual brake problem, why Hendrick wouldn't want to be like, hey, we had a brake problem?
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think if there was a brake problem, they'd have been like, hey, there was a brake problem. This broke, rotor broke. Because they say it all the time when the rotors break and all that. I don't know.
Well, and I mean, we've seen it with Bell. I mean, that thing blows up. And that was like the worst time that I don't understand. It had to be a faulty part in my eyes. Because everybody was leaning on their brakes. He was keeping up with Blaney that whole time. I think Blaney was using just as much brake as Bell was, and
And let me tell you, that was the most god awful sound I ever heard, because I was right there when it happened.
And you were there. You were at the race.
Yeah.
Oh, that is insane. How loud was it? Was it like a shotgun?
Yeah, it sounded like an explosion, like just bang, and then he hit the wall, and it was another one. And
really,
yeah, it was loud.
Did the fans go crazy when Larson was fighting back there near the end?
Oh yeah. It was
man. I wish I could have been there.
Man, it was wild. I was on my feet banging on the table. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
I was curious when Blaney was running up to Chastain, because Blaney wanted to win that race.
Oh yeah.
He wasn't worried. I mean, obviously he was worried about the championship, but he wanted to win the race to just write off anything. And Chastain wasn't giving it.
No.
Like I thought for sure those two were going to collect each other, and Larson was going right away into the sunset. Yeah. I really did.
And I'm sitting there watching. Of course, I was watching it from the stand, so I didn't see all the camera angles, right? But to me, it looked like Chastain is like, do you want to win the race, or do you want to win the championship? Because
you're only getting one.
It's gonna be big. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, maybe Larson might catch him. But if I was Blaney, I would not be racing that one car. I love Ross Chastain too. I like the way he drives. I think it's entertaining. He's good for the sport. But I was like, man, there ain't no way.
For entertainment, yeah.
There is no way I'm trying to beat him when I got a championship on the line. He can go have that race.
Well, and it's funny to see that's the one thing about racing I love, and some of it's due to tire wear, fatigue on the drivers, et cetera, and the same thing can go for our sim racing. Is just because somebody's dominating the race right out of the gate doesn't mean he's going to be dominating the race later on, because William Byron was the car to beat at the beginning of that race. Yeah. I mean, I thought for sure, I'm like, and I'm still a sucker at it, and I know better, but I thought for sure, I'm like, dude, ain't nobody going to catch him. He's checking out. He's winning stages. Nobody's going to touch him. Larson's the closest thing that's been able to get to him, and he can't make it. And if Larson can't do it, nobody can do it. That's my thought process in that moment. And then Ryan Blaney starts putting in the work. Yeah. His laps are getting faster and faster, and he starts creeping up. And then out of nowhere, Chastain's like, well, I want this more than anybody. And he comes out and does it. It's just racing's such a weird thing, man, that I get suckered into all the time. And I don't think we had the storyline that we had the previous year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Except for, Hamlin not making it, which was awesome.
I love that every year.
Listen, guys, if you're a Hamlin or Bubba Wallace fan, I am so sorry, because I cannot stand either one of them drivers.
I think, don't get me wrong, Hamlin is a good driver. Really, a great driver.
100%.
He is an entitled freaking asshole. And I just can't stand. And it's in his personality. He makes for a good podcast. I love listening to his podcast. But
he does do a good podcast.
I can't stand him on or off the track. I don't care for him at all. I don't.
Well, the irritating thing is like with him, and I think it was Elliott. He was throwing up all the telemetry, like, look at his steering, this and that, and it's his fault, blah, blah, blah. But when the roles get reversed and we're like, well, let's look at your steering, he's like, no, it won't show what actually happened in the car. And it's like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
You can't have your pie and eat it too. It just don't work like that. You know what I mean?
No.
So, whatever. Rolling up in our Chop Shop League, we are coming into the super lates, and the Cup Series is going to be firing back up. One Cup Series is the Cup Series, but the super lates, are you running that with everybody?
I'm going to be running it.
All right. All small tracks, all low geared, very high horsepower. I mean, maybe not as much as the Gen 4, but they got some juice. The grip is definitely there. What's your plan going in that? Because Phipps is running in it.
Yeah, and he's gonna be good. I do not have the experience in the super lates that I do in the rest of the cars, so just gonna play it by ear and have some fun. I enjoy driving them. I race them from time to time, but I'm thinking it's gonna be good learning experience for sure.
Who do you think the guys are going to be to beat in that league?
I'm sure Phipps is going to be the guy to beat. I'm sure Nate's running. He's good in everything. Striker's going to be fast. You're going to have, I think...
they got Cam in there. He hasn't paid yet, but Cam's written in.
Is Caleb in there?
Yep, Caleb's in there.
He's going to be good. He's a good short track racer, and he does a lot of super late model stuff.
You have Crown over in there.
He's fast.
You have Ryan Dunkelberger in there. Ryan is fast. You have Hartung in there. You have Cam, Nate, Hazel's in there. Straight, Roberge, Caffrey, Odell, you, Day, Grijalva. Not that just because I'm not mentioning you doesn't mean I don't think you're fast. These are just the guys that are typically run up front that I'm naming off. But buddy, if I'm looking at this, that is a stacked field. I mean, how are you going to stay out of trouble? Because there's guys in there like me. There's guys in there like my cousin Church that Coulter has his days. Where we can be a top side, bottom side, all over the place, spinning out. How are you going to navigate with that car on a small track through all that jazz?
Yeah, we're just gonna have to go give her hell. I don't know. That's the whole that's the whole point of doing it. It's something new, something I haven't gotten to do a lot. We're gonna just take it slow and hopefully just stick with methodically working my way through it. I'm not thinking I'm gonna have speed right off the bat, but I'm thinking if I can survive, I get some good finishes, get some momentum going. The faster people you get to race with, the more you get to learn, and it's going to be a learning experience this season.
What about the Cup Series? Let's see here. We got Biggert, Benson, Hartung, Ross, Day, both Caffreys, Odell, Black. Green's been running up front.
Yeah.
The Cup Series. Pat Green, not Ed Green.
Cup Series has been
Ed Perry. I was thinking of.
Yeah, Cup Series has been tough. It's hard. I don't particularly like the way it drives, so it's kind of hard for me to do well. I did make the championship 4, and honestly, I had a chance to set championship. I just picked a different strategy.
I don't even see you on the list, man.
I haven't signed up yet.
You trying that last minute entry thing?
I didn't sign up for the truck. I didn't sign up for the Truck Series until the week before it started.
Listen, bro, you and Stryker do gymnastics together, okay? Or cheerleading. I'm sorry. You need to be in all these races. It ain't the same without some Burke, okay? Yeah. I don't see you in the Road Series either, which I don't blame you.
So actually, I love road racing, but my main league that I've been part of since 2020. It runs Wednesdays, so I can't run the road series.
What league's that?
Vigilante Racing League.
Vigilante Racing League.
Yeah.
They do the.
Shout out.
It's interesting.
Shout out Jess and Lori.
Let's not put everybody on the spot, but let's put everybody on the spot. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Let's compare Chop Shock with Vigilante.
Okay.
What are some of the differences that you see? They don't have to be good, they don't have to be great, but just what's the basic differences you see in two leagues like that?
Okay, so we'll start with the similarities is the rules, the way the leagues are laid out, and the way they're officiated. I find it very fair. There's no favoritism in either one. And you kind of, all that is an equal playing field. If you deserve a penalty, you're getting a penalty. Doesn't matter who you're friends with, whatever, you're going to get a penalty. So I love that about both of them. That's why I stick around with both of them. The drivers in the Vigilante Racing League, there's a 3,000 I rating limit. So we do have, we've got guys that should be way above that. If they would actually run officials, they'd be out of that. But there is the talent level is definitely kicked up a notch when you come over to Chop Shop. That's why I came over here when I found, we got 3, 4, 5, 6,000 I rating drivers in here. And it has helped me to get my butt kicked to go a little faster. Because went back to Vigilante Racing League last year, and I was a one race a win a season kind of guy, and it was mostly on road courses because I was just the road course guy over there. I come over here, I'm getting lapped on road courses, just straight up lapped on speed. So that shows the talent level right there. And then last season, I go over to VRL, and I had never won an oval race, and I won 4 oval races, including 3 in a row, to finish out the playoffs.
Oh wow, good job, man!
And I just it's stuff I learned over here. I took it over there, and I was able to win.
So, I mean, so what you're saying is the biggest difference is just the talent.
The talent. We at the top end
that each league carries.
Middle pack back, it's all about the same. You got good fast guys that can get up there, and then you got guys that kind of sketchy or a little slower. But everybody's pretty consistent either way. It's just you got fast guys, you got slow guys. Just over here, the fast guys are very, very fast.
Yeah, they are, and and it's one of the things I pride myself in. When I get a top 10, that's a big deal. A top 10. At the end of the day, no one cares. But for you, it's like, dude, I got a top 10 in Chop Shop.
Mm-hmm.
That's a statement by itself, especially when there's 30 trucks in the field. Here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. In any race, you do not, and I repeat this, you do not have to be the fastest guy. You don't. No. The slowest guy can definitely win that race and not be the fastest all day. Will it take some luck and some unfortunate events? Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Of course. That's why I got 7th place last week. I stayed out of trouble. I ran my race. I didn't chew my tires up dramatically, and I was able to squeak by. Hammond finished, near the end, a lap down, and he was in the lead 90% of the race.
Mm-hmm.
So it's give and take, different strategies. There's a lot of, I don't want to say luck. I mean, granted, there is luck, but I also think a plan is just as crucial as luck.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you mentioned the rules package, and this is a big one for me, because if you ever talk to John, you ever talk to Striker, the fundamentals of a good league is a base race package for a rule set. And we over here at Chop Shop, I don't know if you do this over at VRL, but we have, the poll system to where anybody in that race gets to vote on it if it's not claimed, and we figure out who's responsible for that incident. That being said, John was involved with Ed Perry, last week in an incident that neither one of them claimed, so it went to a poll review. And that poll review, based on everybody's votes, said that John was at fault and that he will get an EOL and a 15-point penalty. And he is the league owner.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes more hits in the league than I think anybody. In all honesty, I think if anything, that he is tried harder than most because of the position that he's in.
Yeah, 100%.
That being said, I don't know if you watched the video. I don't think John was at fault in that race. I think that he should appeal it and let it go to the admin board. So the rule is the poll system comes out, and if you're found guilty, this is your punishment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you can, as a driver, appeal that process saying you disagree with it, then it goes to the admins in the league. The reason it goes to the admins in the league, I'm an admin, is none of us play favoritism in any way, shape, or form. I have voted on my cousin. I have voted on John in the past. I would vote for myself if I was at fault. I try not to let it go there. I rather just claim it, so I don't risk losing 15 points. But that's me. But yeah, that was I don't believe it's Ed Perry's fault either. I think that was you know what? Let's bring that up. Let's bring that video up. We'll let everybody else watch it too.
Yeah.
Because that was. Did you see it?
I did, and I think they were going to hit anyway. I think John just.
I do.
I think John tugging the wheel down a little bit is probably why he got the pole there, because he did come down right at the end. Looked like he misjudged trying to get behind him.
Where is it at in here?
It's in the poll reviews. Up in the red. Race review polls.
That's right. Race review polls. Let's see. Right here. Let's share this window, shall we? Let's put it up here. All right. So we are going to do this. We are going to do this. All right. That's Church and Coulter right here. So let's look at this. So this is John right here in the yellow.
Mm-hmm.
And they both come in. See, that right there, looking at that, it looks like John's fault all day from this race angle. But if you look here, it looks like Perry came up.
And
in that, at that time, this is my favorite view that I like to watch.
Hey.
Right here. You see how much he came up on his front end?
Yeah.
That right there, that is a big telltale. If you watch the front of his truck, coming up as John's coming down. So it looks like Perry got tight trying to dive bomb it. Not, oh, that's loud. See, and the reason I'm against this decision is because it is Perry's responsibility in this case to clear that 75 truck. See, you can even see him cross up right there. I wouldn't see, that's really hard, man. It's super hard. I believe that's a racing incident. I believe that has been done wrong. That is no favoritism toward John in any way, shape, or form. I truly believe that's a racing incident. And if I were John, I would appeal it. But regardless if he does and he wins, and he might appeal it and the other admins might not agree with me anyways, and I don't make the ultimate decision. It's a group effort.
Yeah.
So I think does Vigilante do that at all?
No, we kind of they've got like a 3-person board, 4-person board that reviews all the incidences and just puts the blame, and that's the end of it.
Do you see any favoritism there at all?
I haven't. Sometimes like I don't agree with some of it. Like,
well, yeah.
I mean, I've been on the receiving end of what I thought was a bad call, but you can also go talk to them and they'll be like, hey, this is why we put you at fault, because you were getting loose before you got ran over. And I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes I wish we had the review poll. Sometimes I'm happy we don't. Just it's different. I don't think there's ever been any I think maybe at the beginning we might have kicked the guy out of the league a little premature, considering what I've seen fly since then. But mistakes are made.
And that's you have to be consistent in these things. You have to be. You can't have favoritism.
But I think
and it just has to be.
For the most part, it's fair. It's just, but I mean, you're gonna agree with some calls and you're not. That's just the way racing is.
Well, and the great thing about Chop Shop is you can ruffle feathers. I don't know if you've been in Discord, but me and John's gotten into it many, many, many times. And
me and John get into it all the time.
When it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
Like we're still friends. We're grown ass men. We ain't got time to be playing games. But if I feel I'm right, I'm going to voice my opinion. If John feels John has zero problem voicing his opinion. That's why I love the guy so much.
Yeah.
And then you got Striker, which is the oddball. And I love calling Striker out because no one likes him, Everybody loves Striker. But he's an analyzer, man. He analyzes everything. He does. That man takes zero sides. The only side that he has is a little 3-foot daughter of his run around. That's the side that he takes all the time, But other than that, he has his loyalties to Chop Shop and the brand. And if you're not on that wagon with him, he's going to still follow the brand. It doesn't matter. So yeah, that's It's interesting. I like to hear how other leagues run their stuff, and I always like us to grow as a group. What are some things you think we could do differently to make it better, if there is anything that you can think of? Because I've asked everybody, and we get like some dirt feedback, but really we don't get too much asphalt feedback.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. Like, sometimes I kind of wish we had not necessarily more, not necessarily less. Like some of these races, I wish we had like a different, maybe throw out a oddball where you got one more set of tires than you should have. Kind of throw a curveball into that and see the strategy, because it happened on accident here a few weeks ago, and I think that was a fun race because we're like, oh, what the heck do we do now? We got an extra set of tires. And I think you could have ran New Hampshire the same way because you only needed 2 sets to get through that race.
You know what I would like to do is the polar opposite of what you said, because normally we start the race with 4 tires. We have a set on the truck and 3 on the wall. I think you should take a set away, because
I'd be fine with that too.
You can't take a set every single time we have a stage. You can't. It's a strategy then, and I think that would make for a more interesting race. And another thing I think we should do is a coming up league, or a coming up series, I guess. I don't want to say league because it's all in Chop Shop, but coming up series. You put maybe me, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I don't fit into it. Maybe I do. But you make a league with a, say, 2,000 max I rating. Anybody under 2,000 can race it. Obviously, your Bigots, your Stricklands, your Hammonds, I don't know what iRacing you are, but maybe even you. And you put, me, Church, Thompson, all the fresh faces down there, which there's going to be cautions, obviously. The I rating's not there. But you let us race it out, and you just see how it turns out. I think that would give the opportunity for more people to get an opportunity to get interviewed at the end of the race, because a lot of people like doing that. A lot of people like being on the podcast. Everybody likes to be able to get what they want out.
Well, I think,
right,
and that goes back to saying too, what we could do different. Because one thing I like that Vigilante Racing League does is they interview the podium spots, right? But everybody pays to be in the league, to be in a broadcasted league. So there's also a 4th interview every week, and it's a spotlight driver chosen at random, but it's somebody that doesn't win. It's somebody newer to the league. It's always somebody that never gets the opportunity to get interviewed them usually, but they know they're going to be the spotlight driver that week before they start the race. So they got time to figure out what they're going to say and all that, because sometimes they might be shy or whatever. And I think that's a really cool thing that they do for every driver, because everybody pays to have be on the broadcast. So at some point, everybody will be interviewed.
Maybe that's something we can bring up to Jason too.
Yeah.
Just as an idea. Obviously Jason has a certain way of doing things. He's been doing it for a very long time. Part 1 of his podcast is up. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. We didn't get too much into racing, but we talked a lot about his life and how he became, which is very entertaining. And I do know, I was a part of Prime Grid Racing, and I was just doing Monday nights through there instead of dirt here. And the guy that broadcasts there will randomly pull you up during practice, not during the race, but like under a yellow, and talk to you. And I thought that was really neat. And I asked Jason, like, hey man, not to tell you how to do your job, but why don't you do this, type of thing. And I guess he's tried it in the past, and you'll get people that don't have a filter, they're cussing left and right. And I'm one of those guys. I cuss all the time, and obviously I need to be professional when I'm doing a podcast, whatever. But I think if you could tell that is a good idea. If you could tell that driver, like, hey, you're going to be the spotlight driver this week, we're going to interview you at the end, whether you have a good race, a bad race, whatever, like, just so you're going to get brought up, please don't, cuss and say ignorant stuff and go from there. I think that would be very beneficial. Very beneficial. And I do like that.
And everybody's got great personalities in here. So, like, it'd be great to hear some other people you don't get to hear all the time, right?
It is, absolutely. And that's part of the reason why we're doing the podcast too, is just so everybody gets to know who's Jeremiah Burke.
Right.
Well, he's a Cummins mechanic, right? He's a father of 2. He has a little wiener looking dog. He has big ass cheeks because he had to have his wisdom teeth pulled at 31. His knee just randomly pops out of place whenever it feels like it, and he doesn't let it stop from racing. I mean, that's all information that no one had a damn clue about, which is super awesome. And I'm super appreciative that you came on here, not only once, but a second time. I think that that shows the kind of person that you are, as a human being.
Anytime.
If there's anything you want to get out, I'll leave the floor to you, and then I'll go over all our sponsors.
I think let's get to the sponsors and all that, because I'm ready to race.
All right, mate. So, always we got to give a thanks to MCI Graphics, Virtual Velocity Racing, Geomax, Admin Box, Speedy Trophies, the Baller Stats Boys, Trackhouse, or Track Racer. Sorry, not Trackhouse.
When did we get
That'd
that?
be cool if we were sponsored. That'd be sweet, right? My 3 Sons, C2 Gaming, Fuego Paints. I said it right that time. Thank goodness. And everybody in the league, all our admins, the admins in Chop Shop Racing, they go above and beyond as often as they can. You could say a lot of us don't have a life, that Chop Shop is our life. That's why we're able to put in that extra time. But even guys like you that, they pay to race, because that, that pays for things like this. It pays for things like this. And it takes care of everybody all together. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to Jeremiah for coming on here and doing the podcast. And we will see you guys in the next episode.
See you guys. Have a good one.